Hello students, I am Dr. Margam Madhusudan, working as Associate Professor, Department of Library and Information Science, University of Delhi, Delhi. I will be discussing today the concept of public library and library legislation. I will also describe the need and purpose of library legislation, in the turn explain the different characteristics of library legislation, also the different functions of library legislation. Finally, I will explain the essential components of library legislation. Dear students, the introduction, the library legislation. So, before going to that, the legislation means preparing the format of law or legislation. A stable, uniform, efficient, pulse rating and integrating library service can be secured only through a properly laid out and well supported statewide network of the library system. In the context of libraries, the Library Act means to give legal provision for establishing a library system, its maintenance, services, functions, right and management under any state or a national government. In simple terms, library legislation is an instrument for the development of public libraries in the planned manner to ensure the establishment, development and maintenance of libraries in a uniform pattern. The legislation thus saves libraries from becoming pawns in the hands of the bureaucracy. So, before going to library legislation, so I will brief about a public library. A public library is also known as People's University. A public library is a social institution which is open to the public without any distinction of caste, creed, sex, religion, language, status and education, supported by a mandate of law. Public libraries, which are financed by the public funds and should preserve all types of reading and learning materials, including audio, video and digital electronic gadget modes, which should be available for consultation and lending. Thus, the library service becomes movement of the people, by the people and for the people. I will discuss need for library legislation. The public library should serve as a local information center, making the sources of knowledge readily available to the public. Public libraries should stimulate neo-literates, semi-literates, non-users to become readers and serve the population with knowledge and information. It is recognized that freedom, prosperity and the development of a society and individuals are fundamental human values. Dear students, these values can be attained through well informed citizens who will be shaped through the utilization of public libraries. So, hence it is recognized all over the world that the education, including the provision for free public libraries, is the responsibility of the government at national, state and local levels. In the process of evaluation, our country had established a good number of public libraries maintained by local bodies and voluntary organizations. Some libraries through subscriptions, but these libraries could not grow on modern lines because they were started mostly with voluntary efforts and had a meager amounts and funds to meet the information needs of the people. That is why the financial support through subscriptions or public donations could not provide viable services. Hence, the government and management of these libraries were on ad hoc lines without any structure and resources. Very limited services were provided to very few people, members. They had neither stability nor scope for growth. They functioned only as long as initial enthusiasm of the founders remained. Thereafter, these libraries slowly decayed. Hence, the need for library legislation recognized in India in second 5-year plan, that is 1956 to 1961. So, this made the organizing library services on the basis of library legislation. Further, the impact of 5-year plans, number of public libraries doubled in 1964 as compared to 1951. So, dear students, I will discuss the different characteristics of library legislation. Some of the important characteristics of the library legislation are: 1. The library legislation must be simple and general. It should also allow future modification or development. It must be free from political influence or political changes. It must define respective responsibilities of local, state and national government. It must make the library service compulsory and free to one and all. It should create conditions for libraries to flourish. It must coordinate and control library activities in full recognition of the people to have free access to the information and knowledge. It must meet every interest of its reader. Further, different tasks can be assigned to different types of libraries based on specialization to ensure a better service to the community with the least cost. It is also must take into account other type of libraries. Now, I will discuss different purposes of library legislation in brief. First, the provision of public library service is a natural corollary to the democratic way of life. The second one is free communication is essential for the preservation of the free society and creative culture. Another one, a public library expects its users only to spend time and not money for the utilization of service. In this situation, the question arises from where will finance come? It has been experienced that public library service can be effectively offered only through legislation. The purpose of library legislation are as follows. Law helps in creating necessary conditions under which public libraries can be established nationwide. To put the public library on a sound and sure financial footing by way of levy of library tax. To make the public library independent from subscription, donation or private gift and to the library from political influence. For a sound administrative setup, permanent, uniform, efficient, balanced and coordinated library service and also for proper line of growth. To solve the problem of land, building, legacies, etc. For centralized services like acquisition, processing, etc. To promote library movement in the country, to initiate a national library policy and to help build up a national library system, to provide financial and technical assistance to libraries, to provide financial assistance to organizations, regional or national, engaged in promotion of library development, to publish appropriate literature and to act as a clearinghouse of ideas and information on library development in India and abroad, to promote research in problems of library development, to advise the government on all matters on the library development in the country. So, students, now I will discuss about library legislation and its functions. Legislation should clearly define the government's responsibility in the matters of public libraries. Next, it should lay down the constitution and functions of the library authority at national, state and district level. It should provide an assured basis for library finance, special library cess and reservation of certain percentage of the education budget. It should lay down in outline the structure of the public library system. It should provide for the participation of the representatives of the public in the work of the public libraries at all levels. Now, it is time to discuss library legislation essential components. There are different components are there, like Preamble to the Library Act, state level library authority at the apex level, Directorate of Public Library and Information System, city or district library authority, chief executives at district level, human resources for the system, library fund, accountability, registration of books, finally rules. I will discuss in brief each one of them. First one, Preamble to the Library Act. Dear students, this is a declaration of the reasons and motives behind the library legislation. It should be precise and explicit. The purpose of the public libraries is to promote the spread of knowledge, education and culture by making books and other suitable material free of charge. Public libraries are necessary to give a fillip to the library movement, providing to all the citizens of the state with equal opportunity of access in rural as well as urban areas freely and on matters connected with. This is the unique, comprehensive and apt for the changing times. It has weight and government incorporates it in the original Library Act or while amending or restructuring the Library Act. Among the 19 acts so far enacted, the Hyderabad Public Libraries Act is supposed to be the best, having all components such as State Library Authority, State Library Council, a very good nomenclature for libraries, namely the district public libraries, etc. The word public has great relevance than the existing district central libraries without any significant functional value. The second one is State Library Authority at the apex level. The Minister of Education for the state shall be the State Library Authority. It shall be the duty of this authority to provide for adequate library service in the state and for the progressive development of the institutions devoted to the purpose and to secure the effective execution by local library authorities of the national policy for providing adequate library service to the people. The experts believe in the experience of the developed countries to the effect that there should be state library authority, with the Minister of State Libraries as its head and State Library Committee with elected or nominated person as its president to advise the government on all matters pertaining to the libraries. In the present circumstances, there is a need for state library authority with executive powers. This body is to be headed by Minister for Public Libraries and assisted by a group of experts in the field of library and information services. Third component is Directorate of Public Library and Information System. A separate directorate is essential for supervising, directing and controlling this public library and information system in the state. In the Acts of Karnataka and Maharashtra, it has been mentioned that the head of the department must be professional. In other acts, this is not mandatory. To have a uniform pattern of designation may be difficult in India, since library service is a subject contained in the state list as per the Constitution of India. However, in the Act itself there must be provision to effect the appointment of qualified library professional alone could be posted as head to ensure better performance of the library system. The fourth component of the Act is the city or district library authority. This is an administrative unit necessary for attending is to routine work at a micro level. The functions of the district administrative units are almost similar in all the acts, with the title districts or local library authority. In principle, the district unit is a corporate body. In addition to the district library council, in each district there are Taluk or Mandal library unions for each Taluk or Mandal for organizing and administrating public libraries. In the state of Kerala Act, there is a clear provision for President, Vice President, Secretary and Joint Secretary at state, district and Taluk levels. This is a unique provision. Let us go to another component. Fifth component is Chief Executives at district level. The Chief Executive is the key person in the district administration. In Tamil Nadu, from 1972 onwards, the posts of district library officers were created to act as ex officio secretaries of the local library authorities. There are, in addition to the posts of librarians of the district central libraries, this procedure has to be changed in line with the system prevailing in other states. Kerala Public Libraries Act clearly specifies that Secretary of the District Library Council shall be the chief executive authority of the council. It shall be the duty of the Secretary of the District Library Council to give effect the resolutions of the council. The Joint Secretary shall perform such other functions as may be entrusted to him by the Executive Committee Council. The special features of the Kerala Act are that the District Library Committee elect the Secretary and Joint Secretary. The next component of the Act is human resources for the system. Any system, if it is to function on a sound lines, must provide adequate security to its staff. In Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka state, all the staff members working in the system are government servants. The other staff is eligible to get all the benefits admissible to the employees of the local administrative bodies. The Madal Act of Dr. S. R. Ranganathan and the Acts of West Bengal, Kerala and Manipur have not mentioned anything about sources, conditions of the staff working in the system, whereas the Karnataka Act has the following provisions. 1. All posts in the department shall be filled by the appointment of persons belong to the state library service. 2. All members of such service shall be government servants. 3. Their recruitment and conditions of service shall subject to Article 309 of the Constitution be regulated by rules. Number 4. The salary, allowances, gratuity, pension and other benefits of the members of the state library service shall be met from the consolidated fund of the state. Now, I will discuss about the seventh component of the Act, that is library fund. To meet the day-to-day expenses towards and maintenance of libraries, every library authority shall maintain the library fund at state and district levels. In Karnataka, Public Libraries Act possessed the state library fund, from which all the payments under the Act are met. The following are some of the credited to the state library fund. 1. The grants allocated by the state government to the state authority to perform the duties entrusted to it. 2. Grants which the central government may make. 3. Contributions and gifts made to the state library authority. 4. Funds raised using rules or bylaws made under this Act. Beside the state library fund, there are city or district library funds under the Karnataka Act, in which the following funds are credited. The government maintains the authorities from the consolidated fund of the state. Dr. S. R. Ranganathan and other experts are in the favor of Library Cess, since it ensures a steady and recurring income. The rate of Library Cess differs from state to state. However, that levying of Library Cess seems to be necessary for the generation of funds perennially without depending much on the state budget allocation. Library Cess is one source of income. It is not at all sufficient to organize a system at the state and district level. Education cess is one of the sources to promote education. The government has to tap other sources to develop education. Similar criteria are needed to be applied in respect of public applied libraries also. Next component related to accountability, registration of books and rules. Number 8, accountability. The activities and accounts of the public library system shall be open to the public inspection, supervision and as per official audit rules. Number 9, registration of books. There must be provision for the registration of books and newspapers, periodicals published in the state under the legal deposit rules. The last component of this act is rules. Rules should be made by the state library authority for all the sections and for smooth functioning administration and control of the offices and staff. So, it is a time to conclude. So, conclusion in this regard is library legislation becomes highly necessary and only way for a systematic and planned development of public library services in the country. It helps in the establishment of an organized network of public libraries. A sound administrative setup and a proper and continuous financial support. It will coordinate in the administration and management of public libraries. Centralized services like purchasing of books, periodicals, processing, bibliographical and other services can be provided conveniently. Possibility of providing quality library services at qualified hands free of charge. Lastly, past experience and future vision shall always be kept in view. So, dear students, in addition to this, there are many other references which are provided for your reference purposes. And before that, my thanks to all the authors, universities, websites, libraries whose original works are cited or used in this presentation for academic purpose only and better understanding of the students. Coming to the references, you can go to the listed the references for better understanding and future understanding of in detail about this act and legislation. Thank you very much.